The crystal chandeliers of Sikjin Palace cast fractured light across marble floors so polished they reflected the souls of those who walked upon them. Or at least, that's what the staff whispered during their 4 a.m. prep shifts, when the ghosts of yesterday's violence still lingered in the air like expensive cologne. Nayla Osei moved through those reflections like smoke, present but unnoticed, essential but invisible. At 26, she had perfected the art of occupying space without claiming it. Her movements were economical, precise, the kind of efficiency that came from years of understanding that survival meant never being remembered. She wore the standard uniform of Sikjin Palace's waitstaff, black slacks, crisp white shirt, hair pulled back so severely it gave her migraines she'd learned to ignore. "Listen carefully," Manager Huang hissed during the emergency briefing, his face the color of spoiled kimchi. Sweat beaded along his receding hairline despite the Arctic air conditioning. "Tonight is not just another service. Tonight determines whether this establishment continues to exist." Nayla stood at the back of the assembled staff, 23 servers packed into a storage room that smelled of industrial cleaner and fear. She kept her eyes forward, her breathing shallow, her posture submissive. Everything about her screamed forgettable. But her mind was a steel trap, recording every word, every inflection, every tell. "Choi Sung-min is coming," Huang continued, and several servers gasped. One of the newer girls actually stumbled backward. "The Choi family owns half of Seoul and most of our debt. His organization controls shipping routes from Busan to Beijing. He stopped, choosing his words with the care of a man defusing a bomb. "They have particular expectations. They're the Black Lotus clan," Nayla thought. "They don't control shipping, they control everything that moves through those ships. Weapons, information, people." But she said nothing. "The old man is bringing his grandson, Choi Dae-young," Huang said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Choi Sung-min hasn't left his compound in 8 years. This dinner is unprecedented." Nayla had already known this. She'd known 3 days ago when she'd intercepted the reservation request, when she'd seen the specific requirements: a private room, north-facing windows, better sight lines, staff limited to those who'd been background checked by the family's private security. She'd made sure her name was on that list. "Rules," Huang snapped, pulling out a laminated card he read from like scripture. "Do not make eye contact. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not ask questions. Do not linger. Do not," he looked directly at Nayla, his eyes narrowing. "Do not exist beyond your function. Especially you." Several servers turned to look at her. "Here it comes," Nayla thought. "Nayla SSI," Huang said, his tone shifting from fearful to contemptuous, "you will work the back stations only. Water refills, bread service, clearing plates. You stay in the shadows. You stay silent. Do you understand?" "Yes, Manager Huang," Nayla replied in perfect Korean, her accent deliberately flattened, her voice deliberately soft. "I don't care what languages you speak or what degree you claim to have," Huang continued, warming to his favorite topic, putting her in her place. "Tonight, you are furniture. You are wallpaper. You are nothing. You're afraid they'll ask why you hired someone who looks like me," Nayla thought. "You're terrified they'll think you're making a political statement, that you're progressive, that you're anything other than a man who does exactly what he's told." "Understood," she said aloud. The briefing continued: table settings, wine service, emergency protocols, but Nayla's attention had already shifted to the broader picture. She'd studied the Choi family for 6 months, ever since she'd discovered they had connections to the reason she was in Seoul in the first place. Choi Sung-min, 73 years old. Widower. Built his empire from the ruins of the Korean War, transforming post-war desperation into a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise. Publicly, he owned construction companies and import-export businesses. Privately, he controlled territory from Incheon to Jeju Island. His grandson, Dae-young, was the heir apparent. 32 years old, educated at Oxford, fluent in 5 languages, with a reputation for being both brilliant and brutal. He'd taken over day-to-day operations 5 years ago, modernizing the family's approach while maintaining their iron grip on power. Neither man had any obvious connection to Nayla's past. But 6 months ago, she'd found a shipping manifest with a very specific signature, a code used by the people who'd destroyed her family. And that manifest had passed through a Choi family warehouse. Patience, she reminded herself. You've waited 8 years. You can wait one more night. The private dining room was a study in understated power. No gaudy decorations, no ostentatious displays of wealth. Just clean lines, expensive materials, and windows that offered a view of Seoul's glittering skyline while remaining tinted enough to prevent anyone from seeing in. Nayla entered behind 2 senior servers, carrying a tray of water glasses, still and sparkling, Korean and imported, each option representing a test of attentiveness. She set them on the sideboard without making a sound, then retreated to the corner designated for auxiliary staff. From here, she could see everything while being seen by no one. The security team arrived first. 6 men in dark suits, their movements coordinated, their eyes constantly scanning. They checked the room with practiced efficiency, under tables, behind curtains, even testing the temperature of the water Nayla had just placed. One of them, a man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, paused near her position. His eyes passed over her twice, dismissive both times. Good, Nayla thought. I'm beneath your notice. Then Choi Dae-young entered. He was taller than his photograph suggested, perhaps 6'1", with the kind of lean build that came from discipline rather than vanity. His suit was charcoal gray, custom-tailored, probably Italian. His hair was styled back from a face that would have been handsome if not for the coldness in his eyes, the kind of coldness that came from making decisions other men couldn't stomach. He swept the room with a single glance, categorizing, assessing, dismissing. His gaze passed over Nayla without pause. Clear, he said in Korean, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd never been disobeyed. The security team relaxed fractionally. Then the old man arrived, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Choi Sung-min didn't walk, he commanded space to reorganize itself around him. He was shorter than his grandson, perhaps 5'7", but he seemed to fill the entire room. He leaned heavily on an ebony cane topped with a silver wolf's head, his movements slow but deliberate. He wore a traditional hanbok in deep charcoal, the fabric so fine it seemed to absorb light. His face was a roadmap of 8 decades of violence, power, and survival. Deep lines bracketed his mouth, his eyes were hooded and dark, and his hands, weathered, scarred, rested on his cane with the confidence of a man who'd built an empire from nothing and defended it from everyone. "Grandfather," Dae-young said, moving to help him. The old man waved him off with a sharp gesture. "I'm not dead yet." Manager Huang materialized, bowing so low his forehead nearly touched his knees. "Don Choi, it is the greatest honor." "Wine," the old man interrupted, his voice like gravel grinding together. "Did you get the Chateau Margaux?" Yes, of course," Huang stammered. "The 1990, as requested. We've had it breathing for precisely 45 minutes, according to." "Bring it." Huang snapped his fingers, and the head sommelier rushed forward with the bottle. The old man didn't look at him, didn't acknowledge his existence. He simply waited while his wine was poured, while his grandson settled into the chair across from him, while the security team positioned themselves at strategic points around the room. Nayla remained motionless in her corner, watching. The old man took a sip of wine, his eyes closing briefly. Then he set the glass down with a soft clink that somehow sounded like a gunshot in the silent room. "Acceptable," he declared. Huang nearly collapsed with relief. "We are honored, Don Choi. The menu tonight has been prepared by—" "I didn't ask." The old man's eyes opened, fixing on Huang with the intensity of a predator spotting prey. "Leave us. Send the servers when we ring." It wasn't a request. Huang bowed again, backing out of the room like a courtier retreating from a king. The sommelier followed, then the other senior servers. Within 30 seconds, the room was empty except for the Choi family, their security team, and Nayla, forgotten in her corner. She could leave. She should leave. But something kept her rooted in place, some instinct honed by years of hunting, of waiting, of knowing when the moment to act was approaching. "You're distracted," the old man said to his grandson, speaking in Korean but with an unusual dialect, something rougher, older. What troubles you? Dae-young swirled his wine glass. The shipment from Vladivostok. It's been delayed. By whom? The Russians claim mechanical problems, but I think they're negotiating with the Yamaguchi-gumi. The old man grunted. The Japanese are greedy but not stupid. They won't break an agreement over one shipment. Unless they're testing our response. Then we respond. The old man's fingers drummed against his cane. Decisively. Nayla's pulse quickened. The Vladivostok route. That's where the manifest originated. She shifted her weight slightly, adjusting her angle to better hear their conversation, and in doing so, her elbow brushed against the water pitcher on the sideboard. The pitcher wobbled. Time slowed. Nayla's hand shot out, catching the pitcher before it could fall, her reflexes operating on pure instinct. She stabilized it silently, setting it back in place with barely a whisper of sound. But in that frozen moment, Choi Dae-young's head had turned. His eyes locked onto her. Nayla lowered her gaze immediately, her heart hammering against her ribs. Stupid. Stupid. You just drew attention. You, Dae-young said, his voice sharp. What are you still doing here? Nayla bowed, keeping her eyes on the floor. Apologies, sir. I was instructed to remain in case you required anything. We have a call button. Yes, sir. I will leave immediately. She turned to go, her movements deliberately slow, non-threatening. Wait. Nayla froze. Dae-young stood, his chair scraping against the floor. He crossed the room in 4 long strides, stopping directly in front of her. She could smell his cologne, something expensive and woody, cedar and smoke. Look at me, he commanded. Nayla raised her eyes slowly, meeting his gaze. His expression was unreadable, but she could see the calculation behind his eyes, the same calculation she performed 100 times a day. Who are you? Are you a threat? Are you useful? Are you nothing? You speak Korean, he observed. Yes, sir. Where did you learn? University, sir. The lie came easily, practiced. I studied languages. Which university? Careful. Yonsei, sir. International Studies Program. He studied her face, and Nayla knew what he was seeing, a black woman, mid-20s, features that suggested West African heritage, speaking Korean with textbook precision. An anomaly. Something that didn't fit the usual patterns. Expensive school, Dae-young noted. I had a scholarship, sir. For what? Languages, sir. I speak 7. It was a calculated risk, giving him more information than necessary. But people were predictable, they asked about what made someone different, and once satisfied, they stopped looking deeper. Dae-young's eyes narrowed slightly. 7 languages, and you're working as a waitress. Economic realities, sir. The job market for linguists is limited. From across the room, the old man spoke, his voice cutting through the tension. Dae-young. Stop interrogating the help. Your soup is getting cold. Dae-young held Nayla's gaze for 1 more second, then turned away. Go. If we need something, we'll ring. Yes, sir. Nayla bowed and retreated from the room, her movements controlled, professional. But the moment the door closed behind her, she leaned against the wall, her hands shaking slightly. Too close. That was too close. Through the closed door, she heard the old man's voice, muffled but clear enough. She makes you uncomfortable. She's observant, Dae-young replied. Too observant for someone pouring water. She's American. They train their servants to be invisible by being hyper-aware. Maybe. Nayla pressed her ear closer to the door. You're paranoid, the old man said, but there was affection in his voice. Just like your father. My father died because he wasn't paranoid enough. The statement hung in the air, heavy with old grief. Speaking of your father, the old man continued, his voice shifting to that older dialect again, I have something to discuss. Something that cannot be said in our usual way. The dialect deepened, becoming something Naila recognized but rarely heard, Jeju dialect, the ancient tongue of Korea's southernmost island, rarely spoken on the mainland, never used by people under 60. Her breath caught. She shouldn't be able to understand this. According to her cover story, according to everything in her fabricated background, she'd learned Korean in a university classroom from textbooks and language apps. But standing in that hallway, hearing Choi Sung-min speak in the language of her childhood, Naila understood every word. And that understanding was about to change everything. The kitchen of Sikjin Palace operated like a military campaign during dinner service, stations manned by specialists, orders shouted in abbreviated code, timing measured in seconds rather than minutes. Naila had learned to navigate this chaos by making herself useful without being noticeable, always anticipating needs before they were voiced. Tonight, she was polishing wine glasses with methodical precision, but her mind was elsewhere. The old man speaks Jeju dialect. Why? Who is he protecting information from? The security team? The restaurant staff? His own grandson? The questions spiraled through her mind, but she forced them down. Years of discipline had taught her that curiosity without control was a liability. Naila SSI. Manager Huang's voice cut through the kitchen noise. The Choi table is requesting their first course. She set down her polishing cloth. Yes, manager. And they specifically requested you for service. Naila's hand stilled. Excuse me. I don't understand it either, Huang said, his contempt barely masked. The grandson asked for the woman who speaks languages. You've somehow managed to make an impression. No. This is wrong. I was supposed to be invisible. Perhaps someone else would be more appropriate. Are you refusing a direct request from Choi Dae-young? Huang's face reddened. Do you want me to explain to him that you think you're too good to serve his table? The trap was perfect. Refuse and become memorable for insubordination. Accept and become memorable for proximity. Of course not, manager. I'll go immediately. Huang thrust a tray into her hands, delicate plates bearing the first course, some artistic arrangement of raw fish and flowers that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Do not embarrass this establishment. Do not be yourself, was what he meant. Naila carried the tray through the kitchen doors, down the hallway, past the other private rooms where other powerful men conducted other dangerous business. Her heart rate remained steady, her breathing controlled. Fear was useless, preparation was everything. She knocked twice on the Choi dining room door, then entered without waiting for a response, the protocol for service in high-end establishments. The scene had shifted since her earlier visit. Choi Sung-min now sat at the head of the table, his cane resting against his chair, his weathered hands clasped before him. Dae-young sat to his right, his posture relaxed but his eyes alert. The security team had retreated to the corners, present but unobtrusive. Excuse the interruption, Naila said in Korean, her accent perfectly neutral. Your first course. She moved to serve the old man first, protocol demanded age be honored, but Choi Sung-min raised his hand, stopping her. Wait, he said, his voice carrying that gravel-rough texture that spoke of decades of cigarettes and shouted orders. Come here. Closer. Naila obeyed, stopping precisely 2 feet from his chair. Close enough to hear, far enough to not threaten. The old man studied her face with an intensity that felt like physical touch. His dark eyes moved across her features, her nose, her lips, the shape of her skull, the tone of her skin. She'd been examined like this before, countless times, by people trying to categorize her, to fit her into boxes that made sense of their world. But this felt different. You're not Korean, he stated. No, sir. You're not Japanese, not Chinese, not from anywhere in Asia. No, sir. Yet you speak our language well. Very well. He tilted his head slightly. Better than many natives. Thank you, sir. I studied extensively. Studied, he repeated, tasting the word. Where are you from originally? Careful. The lies must be layered but consistent. Ghana, sir. I was born in Accra. And how does a woman from Ghana end up speaking Korean in Seoul? Dae-young leaned forward, his interest clearly piqued. He'd been watching this exchange with the focused attention of someone conducting an interrogation. My mother worked for a diplomat, Nayla explained, delivering the cover story she'd constructed and rehearsed until it felt like truth. A Korean cultural attaché posted to Ghana. I grew up around the language, learned it informally, then studied formally when I came here for university. Yonsei, Dae-young interjected. You mentioned. Yes, sir. The old man made a humming sound, neither approval nor skepticism. Serve the food. It's getting cold. Nayla moved with practiced efficiency, placing each plate precisely, removing the silver covers with synchronized timing, stepping back when the presentation was complete. Every movement was textbook perfect, exactly what they'd expect from expensive training. She turned to leave. One more thing, Choi Sung-min said. Nayla stopped, turning back. Yes, sir. The old man switched dialects without warning, his Korean shifting from standard Seoul pronunciation to something older, rougher, thick with the particular sounds of Jeju Island, consonants that dropped, vowels that transformed, grammar that bent rules established on the mainland. He asked. What do you think of this food? But it wasn't a simple question. The Jeju dialect transformed it into something more intimate, more probing, carrying implications about tradition, authenticity, respect for old ways. The room went silent. Dae-young's eyes widened fractionally, the first genuine surprise Nayla had seen him display. The security team shifted, hands drifting toward weapons, pure instinct responding to something unexpected. This is a test. He's testing whether I really learned Korean in a classroom, whether I'm really just a university student who happened to pick up the language. No textbook teaches Jeju dialect. No language app covers these transformations. You only know this if you lived it. She had 3 options. 1. Pretend she didn't understand. Safe. Expected. But it would make the old man suspicious. Why specifically request a multilingual server if she couldn't handle dialectical variation? 2. Acknowledge that she didn't understand and ask him to repeat in standard Korean. Honest. Humble. Also suspicious, 7 languages suggested linguistic aptitude, and dialectical comprehension was basic for advanced speakers. 3. Answer. Nayla's mouth opened before her brain had fully committed to the decision. She replied, the Jeju dialect flowing from her tongue like water finding old channels. The food looks properly nourishing. But more than the words, it was the sound, the exact tonal quality, the precise consonant drops, the authentic rhythm of someone who'd learned this dialect not from books but from speakers, from life, from immersion. The silence that followed was absolute. Choi Sung-min's hands, which had been resting calmly on the table, now gripped the edge hard enough that his knuckles went white. His face, that weathered landscape of calculated control, showed naked shock. Dae-young stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor with a sound like a scream. Grandfather. The old man raised his hand, cutting off his grandson. His eyes never left Nayla's face. Say that again, he whispered, still in Jeju dialect. Exactly as you said it. Nayla's pulse hammered in her throat. You've made a mistake. A critical, irreversible mistake. But there was no going back now. She repeated, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. Choi Sung-min rose from his chair, moving faster than a man of his age and infirmity should be able to. He crossed to her in 3 steps, his cane forgotten, his limp suddenly absent, raw vitality burning away the pretense of frailty. He grabbed her chin, tilting her face up to catch the light. Where? He demanded, switching back to standard Korean but keeping his voice low, dangerous. Where did you learn to speak like that? I don't understand, sir. I was just trying to. Don't lie to me. His voice cracked like a whip. No one speaks Jeju dialect by accident. No one learns it from universities or diplomatic families. You speak it like someone who grew up with it, like someone who, he stopped, his eyes widening further as some thought occurred to him. Who taught you? The security team had moved closer, forming a loose circle. One of them, the man with the scarred eyebrow, had his hand inside his jacket, clearly gripping a weapon. Dae-young stepped beside his grandfather, his earlier surprise replaced by cold calculation. Answer the question. Nayla's mind raced. The truth will get you killed. But another lie will get you killed slower, more painfully, after they've extracted everything you know. My foster mother, she said quietly, choosing a version of truth that might buy her time. In Ghana. She was Korean. She taught me. Name, Choi Sung-min demanded. I was very young. I don't remember her Korean name. We called her Mama Kim. It was plausible. Koreans working abroad often used simplified names. Foster care created gaps in documentation. It was thin, but it was something. The old man's grip on her chin tightened. You're lying. I can see it in your eyes. You know exactly who taught you, and you know why I care. Grandfather, Dae-young said, his voice controlled but urgent. Not here. Not with witnesses. The old man looked around, seeming to remember suddenly where they were. He released Nayla's chin but didn't step back. Clear the room, he ordered. The security team moved immediately, checking the hallway, securing the door, creating a perimeter that made it clear no one would be entering or leaving without permission. Dae-young pulled out his phone, typed something quickly, then pocketed it. The restaurant staff won't disturb us. I've informed the manager this is a private business discussion. They're locking down. This is an interrogation now, not a dinner. Sit, Choi Sung-min commanded, pointing to an empty chair. Nayla sat, her hands folded in her lap, her posture straight. Show no fear. Fear makes you pray. The old man resumed his seat, but Dae-young remained standing, positioning himself between Nayla and the door. The message was clear, you're not leaving until we have answers. Let's start with something simple, Choi Sung-min said, his voice deceptively gentle now. Your name. Your real name. Nayla Osei. That's your legal name. What's your Korean name? He knows. Somehow, he knows you had one. I was never given one officially. But you were called something. By this Mama Kim. What did she call you? Nayla hesitated, and in that hesitation, she saw understanding dawn in the old man's eyes. She called you something from the island, he said softly. Didn't she? Something in the old way. The words stuck in her throat, but she forced them out. Hey Jean. Ocean truth. Choi Sung-min's face went pale. He leaned back in his chair, his hand reaching for his cane not for support but as an anchor to reality. Impossible, he whispered. Dae-young looked between them, confusion breaking through his controlled expression. Grandfather, what? Hey Jean was my daughter's name, the old man said, his voice hollow. My youngest daughter. The one who died 30 years ago on Jeju Island. The room temperature seemed to drop. She was killed during the territorial wars, he continued, still staring at Nayla as if seeing a ghost. She was 23. She was, his voice cracked. She was pregnant. Nayla's entire world tilted. No. This isn't possible. This isn't why I'm here. This is a coincidence, it has to be. My daughter was engaged to marry another family's son, Choi Sung-min continued, the words coming faster now, decades of buried grief spilling out. But she fell in love with someone else. Someone unsuitable. A smuggler who worked the fishing routes between Jeju and Taiwan. He stood again, moving to the window, looking out at Seoul's lights as if seeing the past instead of the present. She ran away with him. We disowned her, I disowned her. 6 months later, both of them were dead, killed in a raid by a rival organization. Her body was never recovered, burned in a warehouse fire along with her lover. The child? Dae-young asked quietly. Never found. We assumed it died with her. Nayla's hands were shaking now, so she pressed them flat against her thighs. I'm not, I can't be. How old are you? The old man asked, turning back to face her. 26. My daughter died in 1998. 26 years ago. He crossed to her again, stopping close enough that she could see the tears gathering in his eyes, moisture he refused to let fall. Where were you born? Ghana. I told you. Where were you found? Not where you were born. Where were you found? Nayla's breath came short. Accra. Near the port. A shipping container from, she stopped. From where? His voice was gentle now, coaxing. From Taiwan, she whispered. Marked with Korean shipping symbols. The old man's knees buckled. Dae-young caught him, guiding him back to his chair. A baby in a shipping container, Choi Sung-min said. From Taiwan to Ghana. 30 years ago, when my daughter and her lover were fleeing across those exact shipping routes. This is impossible, Nayla said, but her voice lacked conviction. Show me your left shoulder, the old man demanded. What? Your left shoulder. Show me. Nayla stood, turning, pulling down the collar of her shirt just enough to reveal the skin of her shoulder blade. There, barely visible against her dark skin, was a birthmark, 3 small dots arranged in a triangle, each about the size of a grain of rice. Choi Sung-min made a sound between a laugh and a sob. The 3-legged crow. My daughter had the exact same mark. Her mother had it. Her grandmother had it. Every woman in my direct line for 6 generations. Nayla pulled her shirt back up, her hands numb. This doesn't prove. DNA can prove it, Dae-young said, his voice tight. We can have results in 6 hours. I'm not taking a DNA test, Nayla said, backing toward the door. I'm not, I came to Seoul for university. I'm just a waitress. I'm nobody. You're my granddaughter, Choi Sung-min said, and the certainty in his voice was absolute. You're Choi Hae-jin. Your family. No. Nayla reached for the door handle. No, I'm not. I'm just. The door opened before she could touch it. But it wasn't opening from her side. It was being kicked in. 3 men burst into the room, moving with military precision. They wore masks, black tactical gear, and carried weapons that had no business existing in a Seoul restaurant. The security team reacted instantly, but they were caught in the worst possible position, too close to their principals, too far from their weapons, oriented wrong. Nayla's body moved before her mind processed the threat. She grabbed Choi Sung-min's cane from where it leaned against his chair and swung it in a tight arc, striking the lead attacker's weapon hand with enough force to break bones. The gun clattered to the floor. Her follow-through was automatic, a kick to his knee that sent him down, a pivot that positioned the falling body between her and the second attacker, 3 seconds of chaos that bought the security team time to respond. Gunfire erupted. Nayla tackled the old man, driving him down behind the heavy wooden table as bullets splintered the wall where his head had been. She covered his body with her own, her hands protecting his skull, her weight distributed to shield maximum surface area. Training. Muscle memory. Protection protocols for high-value assets. Dae-young had drawn his own weapon, returning fire with controlled bursts. The security team had engaged the remaining attackers. The room was a cacophony of violence, muzzle flashes, shouted Korean, breaking glass. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. 3 attackers down. 2 dead, 1 groaning with a sucking chest wound. The security team was checking the hallway, securing the perimeter, calling for backup in urgent, clipped sentences. Nayla remained on top of Choi Sung-min, her heart hammering, adrenaline singing through her veins. You can get up now, the old man said softly. I think I'm safe. She rolled off him, her hands checking him for injuries with practiced efficiency. Are you hit? Any pain? Any? I'm fine. He caught her hands, stilling their frantic movement. Thanks to you. Dae-young appeared above them, his face spattered with someone else's blood, his weapon still raised. He stared down at Nayla with an expression she couldn't read, shock, suspicion, dawning understanding. How did you know? He asked. Know what? How to move like that. How to disarm an assailant. How to provide protective coverage for a principal. His voice was clinical, analytical. Those aren't reflexes you learn pouring water. Nayla stood slowly, her legs shaking now that the immediate danger had passed. Survival instinct. Bullshit. Dae-young's voice was flat. That was training. Military-grade training. You assessed the threat, identified the primary objective, neutralized the immediate danger, and executed a protective sequence in under 3 seconds. The security team was watching now, their own suspicions clearly raised. The man with the scarred eyebrow had repositioned, his weapon not quite pointed at Nayla but not quite pointed away either. Who are you? Dae-young demanded. And don't give me another story about university studies and diplomatic families. Choi Sung-min raised his hand. Dae-young. No, grandfather. She just demonstrated combat training that rivals our best soldiers. She speaks a dialect she shouldn't know. She has a birthmark that matches our family line. And now there's been an assassination attempt minutes after her identity came into question. He turned back to Nayla, his eyes cold. That's not coincidence. I saved your grandfather's life, Nayla said, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. Or you're part of a very elaborate setup. Dae-young circled her, his posture predatory. Let me tell you what I think. I think someone found out about my grandfather's lost daughter. I think they found a woman approximately the right age, approximately the right features, trained her in Jeju dialect and close protection, then positioned her exactly where we'd find her. I think this whole thing, the birthmark, the dialect, the convenient story, is designed to get someone inside our family. That's insane. Is it? Because the alternative is that my dead aunt's daughter, who should have died in a warehouse fire 30 years ago, coincidentally ended up in Seoul working at the exact restaurant where we'd be dining on the exact night we'd be attacked by assassins she was perfectly trained to counter. He had a point, and Nayla knew it. The assassins weren't after me, she said. They came for your grandfather. How do you know? The question was sharp. Their positioning. They bypassed everyone else to get to him. That's targeted assassination, not random. How do you know? Dae-young repeated, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. How does a waitress know how to read tactical positioning? Nayla's mind raced. Every answer digs you deeper. Every truth reveals more than you can afford to show. Search her, Dae-young ordered. The scarred security man moved forward. Nayla's body tensed, ready to fight, but Choi Sung-min's voice cut through the tension. Stop. Dae-young turned to his grandfather. She's a security threat. She saved my life. The old man's voice carried absolute authority. She will be treated with respect. Respect doesn't mean trust. Then we test her. Choi Sung-min looked at Nayla with an expression that mixed hope and suspicion. If you are who I think you are, you'll be able to prove it. If you're not. He left the alternative hanging. What kind of test? Nayla asked. Knowledge, the old man replied. Things only my daughter would have known. Things she would have taught her child. Dangerous. He's looking for specific memories, specific cultural markers. If you get them right, you confirm his suspicions. If you get them wrong, you confirm Dae-young's. I already told you, I was raised in Ghana. By Mama Kim, the old man interrupted. A Korean woman who taught you Jeju dialect. A woman who, I'm guessing, was around 50 years old, with a scar on her right hand and a limp on her left side. Nayla's breath caught. Yes. Those details. Exactly those details. How did you know? She whispered. Because Mama Kim was Shim Mei-sun. She was my daughter's bodyguard, assigned to protect her when the threat started. She disappeared the same night my daughter died. He leaned forward. Tell me what she taught you. Tell me the old songs, the traditional ways, the stories from the island. This is ridiculous, Dae-young protested. Cultural knowledge can be taught to anyone. Not this knowledge, his grandfather said. Not the deep knowledge. The kind that lives in your bones. He began speaking in Jeju dialect again, but this time it was different, a rhythm, a pattern, the opening lines of something ancient. The sea is calling. Nayla's mouth opened, and the response came automatically, muscle memory from childhood. The stone walls are calling. The old man's eyes gleamed. He continued, switching to a different verse, a different traditional song, and again Nayla responded perfectly, the words flowing from some deep place she'd almost forgotten. They went through 6 different traditional songs, each one a piece of Jeju Island's oral history, each one rarely known outside the oldest families. Nayla knew every word. The stone marker at the North Temple, Choi Sung-min said, switching to rapid-fire questions. What's written on it? Names of the 17 women who died in the diving accident of 1953. The correct way to prepare omiji tiak during harvest festival. Glutinous millet, fermented for 3 days, steamed in persimmon leaves. The color of the ceremonial cloth used during. Indigo, Nayla said. Dyed 3 times, dried in moonlight, never in sun. The old man sat back, his face showing wonder and fear in equal measure. No one knows these things. No one except family, Dae-young finished, his suspicion warring with growing belief. Except someone who was raised in the traditional ways. I was raised by someone who knew the traditional ways, Nayla corrected. That doesn't make me. Show us your hands, the old man said. What? Your hands. Turn them over. Nayla extended her hands, palms up. Choi Sung-min examined them closely, then touched 2 fingers to the pad of her left thumb. You've held a knife. Not for cooking, for cleaning fish. The callus pattern is distinctive. And here, he touched her right palm. String marks from net weaving. And your fingernails, they're strong, thickened. That comes from years in salt water. I lived near the ocean in Ghana. Ghana doesn't have the same fishing traditions. These marks come from specific techniques, specific tools used only in Korean traditional fishing. He looked up at her. May-sun taught you to fish the old way. She taught you the island ways because she was preserving my daughter's heritage for the granddaughter she was protecting. This is insane, Nayla said, but her voice was shaking. You're creating a narrative from coincidences. Then explain the dialect, Dae-young challenged. Explain the cultural knowledge. Explain the combat training. Explain why you're in Seoul, working at this specific restaurant, on this specific night. Nayla looked between them, the old man whose hope was dangerous, the grandson whose suspicion was warranted. Tell them the truth. Tell them why you're really here. Tell them about the shipping manifest, the investigation, the revenge you've been planning for 8 years. But before she could speak, before she could decide what truth to tell, the door opened again. This time, it was Manager Huang, his face pale, his hands shaking. Don Choi, he stammered. The police are here. There's been a report of gunfire. They're demanding to enter. Dae-young swore quietly. How long? They're in the lobby now. I've told them we had a gas explosion in the kitchen, but they're not. Get them out, Choi Sung-min commanded. Use the usual channels. I'll make the necessary calls. Yes, Don Choi. Huang bowed and fled. The old man turned to Nayla. You have a choice. You can stay and answer more questions, submit to DNA testing, and let us determine the truth of who you are. Or you can run. Grandfather, Dae-young started. She's not a prisoner, the old man said firmly. Not yet. If she is my granddaughter, she deserves the right to choose. If she's not. His eyes hardened. Then running will tell us what we need to know, and we'll find her. Nayla looked at the door, at freedom, at escape from questions she couldn't answer without revealing too much. Then she looked at Choi Sung-min, at the hope in his eyes, at the desperate need to believe his daughter's child had survived. You came to Seoul for revenge. You came to find the people who destroyed your real family. And now you've stumbled into a family that might be yours by blood but is definitely connected to everything you've been hunting. I'll stay, she said quietly. I'll answer your questions. But not here. Not with bodies on the floor and police in the lobby. The old man smiled, and it transformed his weathered face. Smart. Just like her mother. He turned to Dae-young. Take her to the compound. Secure her in the guest house. We'll continue this conversation when I've handled our immediate problems. The guest house. Dae-young's eyebrows rose. You want to bring a potential security threat into our home? I want to bring my granddaughter home, the old man corrected. There's a difference. Dae-young looked like he wanted to argue, but years of deference won out. Yes, grandfather. He grabbed Nayla's arm, his grip firm but not painful. Come with me. And don't try to run. My men are very good at hunting. As he led her from the room, past the bodies, past the shocked restaurant staff, past the gathering police, Nayla caught one last glimpse of Choi Sung-min. He was standing by the window, his hand pressed against the glass, watching her leave with an expression of such profound longing it made her chest ache. He's already decided I'm his granddaughter. He's already let hope Indiana. Which means when the truth comes out, when he learns I'm here to destroy the people who used his shipping routes to kill my family, that hope will turn to rage. And Nayla knew from experience that hope betrayed was the most dangerous weapon in the world. The Choi family compound sat in the hills above Seoul, a sprawling estate that managed to project both traditional elegance and modern security. High walls topped with cameras, guards at every gate, but inside, manicured gardens, traditional Hanok architecture, the carefully preserved beauty of old Korea. Dae-young's SUV passed through 3 security checkpoints before pulling up to a smaller building set apart from the main house. The guest house, he'd called it, but Nayla recognized it for what it was, a holding cell dressed in expensive materials. Inside, Dae-young ordered, killing the engine. Nayla complied, stepping out into the cool night air. Around her, she counted 6 visible security positions, probably twice that number hidden. The message was clear. You're not a prisoner, but you're not free. The guest house interior was beautiful, traditional wooden floors, paper screen doors, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than most cars. But the windows were reinforced, the doors had electronic locks, and she'd bet her life the walls had soundproofing. Sit, Dae-young said, gesturing to a low table surrounded by floor cushions. Nayla sat, folding her legs beneath her in the traditional way, another automatic gesture that she saw him note. He remained standing, backlit by the single lamp, his face in shadow. We have approximately 2 hours before my grandfather arrives to continue his reunion. That gives us 2 hours for the truth. I've been telling the truth. You've been telling a truth. Pieces of it. Convenient pieces. He moved to the window, looking out at the compound. Let me tell you what I know. Then you can decide how much more truth to add. He pulled out his phone, tapped something, and an image appeared on the screen. He held it up for her to see. It was a photograph of a young woman, Korean, early 20s, holding a baby. The woman's face was partially obscured, but the baby was clearly visible, dark skin, bright eyes, a small birthmark visible on her exposed shoulder. This was found in Mae-sun's belongings after she disappeared, Dae-young said. My grandfather searched for his daughter's bodyguard for years. When he finally tracked down her final location, a village in Ghana, the locals said she'd died 3 years earlier. They also said she'd raised a child. A black child who spoke Korean like a native. Nayla stared at the photograph. That baby is me. That woman holding me. My mother, she whispered. Maybe. Dae-young set the phone down. Or maybe that's what you were told to say. Maybe you're the child, or maybe you're someone who was given this story, this identity, to infiltrate our family. Why would anyone go to such elaborate lengths? Because my grandfather is 73 years old. He's been grooming me to take over, but legally, if a direct descendant appeared, a daughter's child, the succession could be challenged. Because our family controls territories worth billions, and installing a false heir would be worth the investment. Because, he stopped, frustration breaking through his controlled exterior. Because I don't know. But something about this doesn't fit. Then let me go, Nayla said. Let me walk away. Forget you ever saw me. I can't. He moved closer, crouching so they were eye level. Because despite every instinct telling me this is a setup, despite the impossibly convenient timing, despite every red flag. I watched you in that restaurant. When my grandfather spoke Jeju dialect, you didn't just translate it. You felt it. Your whole body language changed. You became someone else, someone younger, someone remembering home. His observation was too accurate, too close to the truth. And when those assassins came, he continued, you didn't hesitate. You didn't freeze. You protected him with your own body. That kind of instinct, that kind of selfless protection, you can't fake it. So what do you want from me? The truth. All of it. Why are you really in Seoul? Why were you working at that specific restaurant? What are you after? Nayla weighed her options. He's giving you an opening. He's asking for the truth. Give him enough to satisfy without revealing everything. I came to Seoul 8 years ago, she began carefully. I came to find the people responsible for Mae-sun's death. Dae-young's eyes narrowed. She died of natural causes. She died of a knife wound that became infected because she couldn't risk going to a hospital. Nayla's voice hardened. She died protecting me from men who tracked us across 3 continents. Men who wanted to finish what they started when they killed my mother. Who? I don't know their names. I don't know their faces. But I know they used Korean shipping routes. I know they had connections in Seoul. And I know, she stopped. You know what? I know your family's shipping company was involved. Not directly, maybe. But your routes, your manifests, your security codes, they were used to move something 8 years ago. Something that led those men to us. The silence that followed was absolute. Dae-young stood slowly, his hand moving to his side where she knew he kept his weapon. You're accusing my family. I'm stating facts. The shipping manifest had your company's codes. The men who came for us spoke Korean. They knew things only someone with access to your family's operations could know. So this whole thing, the restaurant job, the coincidental meeting, you orchestrated it to get close to us. To investigate us. Yes. The admission hung between them, honest and damning. And the birthmark? The dialect? The cultural knowledge? All real. Mae-sun was my teacher, my protector, my mother in every way that mattered. She taught me everything about her home, her family, the daughter she'd failed to protect. Nayla met his gaze. I didn't know Choi Hae-jin was your grandfather's daughter. I didn't know Mae-sun was connected to your family. I just knew she died to protect me, and someone in Seoul knew how to find us. Dae-young paced the room, his mind clearly working through implications and connections. If what you're saying is true, if someone used our shipping routes without authorization, that's a betrayal that goes deep. That's someone inside our organization. Yes. And that same someone probably arranged tonight's attack. Because if you are my grandfather's granddaughter, if you're legitimate, you represent a threat to whoever has been operating in the shadows of our family. Also yes. He stopped pacing, turning to face her. This is either the most elaborate infiltration I've ever encountered, or you're telling the truth and we have a much bigger problem. DNA test would settle the first question. And create new ones. If you are legitimate, if you are family, then the security breach becomes even more critical because it means someone has known about you for 8 years and kept it secret. He ran his hand through his hair. The attack tonight, it was too well timed. They knew we'd be at that restaurant. They knew exactly when to strike. And they knew you'd be there. They came for your grandfather, not me. Did they? Or did they come to eliminate all 3 of us before? The explosion cut him off mid-sentence. The guest house windows blew inward, glass transforming into deadly projectiles. Dae-young tackled Nayla, covering her body as shrapnel tore through the space where she'd been sitting. The second explosion followed immediately, the main house, a ball of orange flame rising into the night sky. Grandfather. Dae-young was up and running before the debris stopped falling, his weapon drawn, his training overriding shock. Nayla was right behind him, her bare feet bleeding from glass cuts she didn't feel, adrenaline turning the world into sharp focus and slow motion. The compound was chaos. Guards running, some toward the main house, some toward defensive positions. The smell of burning wood and something chemical, accelerant, military grade. Dae-young grabbed a radio from a guard's belt. Location of Don Choi. Now. Static, then a panicked voice, West Wing. He's trapped in the. The transmission cut off. Dae-young didn't hesitate. He ran toward the burning main house, toward smoke and flame and collapsing architecture. Nayla grabbed his arm, stopping him. You'll die. That's what they want, both of you dead. He's my grandfather. And rushing in blind will kill you both. She scanned the compound, her training from Mason kicking in, assess the terrain, identify the objective, calculate the approach. The West Wing has a service entrance. Through the garden, past the koi pond, there's a back door that leads to the. How do you know that? Mason showed me photographs. She never stopped planning how to protect Hae-jin's father. She made me memorize the compound layout years ago. Their eyes met, and in that moment of crisis, Dae-young made a choice. Lead the way. They moved together, low and fast, using the smoke as cover. Behind them, the firefight had started, someone was attacking the compound security team, drawing them away from the main house. This is coordinated. Professional. This is what Mason always warned me about, the people who'd been hunting us were patient, thorough, willing to wait years for the perfect moment. The garden was a nightmare landscape, beautiful traditional elements now obstacle courses. Nayla navigated by memory and instinct, finding the paths Mason had described, the hidden approaches she'd taught during countless bedtime stories disguised as fairy tales. There's a stone path beneath the cherry trees, little one. 5 steps, turn left, 7 more steps, and you'll find the secret door where the princess hid from the dragon. The cherry trees were burning now, but the stone path remained. They reached the service entrance. Dae-young kicked it open, weapon raised. The interior was smoke and flame. The traditional paper walls were fire, the wooden beams were starting to collapse. Grandfather! Dae-young shouted. A cough, deeper in the building. Here. West Wing study. They pushed forward, Nayla ripping a piece of fabric from her shirt to cover her nose and mouth, Dae-young doing the same. The heat was intense, the air thick with toxins. The study door was blocked by fallen debris. Together, they heaved at the beam blocking the entrance, wood scorching their hands. Stand back. Dae-young fired 3 shots, blowing the door handle apart. The door swung inward. Choi Sung-min was on the floor, pinned by a fallen bookshelf, his leg at an unnatural angle. 2 of his personal guards were dead beside him, their bodies showing bullet wounds that predated the fire. They shot them first. Made sure he was trapped. This wasn't random attack, this was assassination. Dae-young grabbed his grandfather under the arms. Nayla lifted the bookshelf, her muscles screaming with the effort, something in her back popping, but she held it long enough for Dae-young to drag the old man clear. A beam crashed down where they'd been standing seconds before. Can you walk? Nayla asked Choi Sung-min. No. His face was gray with pain. Leave me. Get Dae-young out. Not happening, Nayla said. She crouched, pulling the old man onto her back in a fireman's carry, his weight distributed across her shoulders. Mason made me practice this 1,000 times. You need to be able to carry someone bigger than you, she'd said. Someday you might need to save someone important. Was she always talking about him? About saving the father of the girl she'd failed to protect? Move. Dae-young commanded, leading the way through the burning building. They navigated by instinct and luck, the compound's architecture transforming into a death trap. Twice, Nayla's memory of Mason's descriptions saved them, a servant's passage that bypassed a collapsed hallway, a window that opened onto a lower roof section. They burst into the garden as the main house's roof collapsed behind them. The compound security team had regrouped, establishing a defensive perimeter. Medical teams rushed forward, taking Choi Sung-min from Nayla's shoulders, laying him on a stretcher. Dae-young was giving orders, secure the perimeter, account for all personnel, call for backup. Nayla stood apart, her hands burned, her feet bleeding, her lungs raw from smoke. You saved him again. You saved the man who might be your grandfather. And in doing so, you've just proven you can't walk away. You're in this now, whether you want to be or not. Choi Sung-min's voice cut through the chaos, weak but insistent. The girl. Where is the girl? Dae-young pointed. She's here, grandfather. She's safe. The old man's eyes found hers across the burning garden. Come here. Nayla approached, kneeling beside the stretcher. You carried me out, he said, his weathered hand grasping hers. Just like Mei-sun used to carry Hei-jin when she was small. The same way. The exact same way. Mei-sun taught me. No. His grip tightened. Mei-sun taught you because you are her. You are my granddaughter. I know it now. I know it in my bones. He looked up at Dae-young. Get the lab. I want DNA confirmation, but I don't need it. She's family. Grandfather, we need to focus on the people who tried to kill us tonight, the old man finished. On the traitor in our organization. On the fact that my granddaughter appeared after 30 years, and within hours, someone tried to eliminate our entire family line. He pulled Nayla closer, his voice dropping so only she could hear. You said you came to Seoul looking for the people who killed Mei-sun. Who betrayed your mother? Who used our shipping routes? Yes. Then we have the same enemies. His eyes gleamed with fierce determination. And now we hunt them together. Before Nayla could respond, before she could process what this alliance meant, shots rang out from the compound's perimeter. More attackers, pressing the advantage, trying to finish what the fire had started. Dae-young moved immediately, positioning himself between the gunfire and his grandfather. Get him to the safe house. Now. The medical team moved to lift the stretcher, but Choi Sung-min held up his hand. Wait. He pulled something from inside his shirt, a small key on a chain around his neck. He pressed it into Nayla's hand. The vault, he said. In my private office. This key opens it. Inside, you'll find files. Everything Mei-sun gathered about my daughter's death. Everything I've collected over 30 years trying to find out what really happened. Why are you giving this to me? Because you're going to need it. Because whoever tried to kill us tonight is connected to whoever killed your mother. And because, his voice cracked. Because I failed my daughter. I won't fail her daughter. The gunfire intensified. Dae-young was shouting orders, his security team establishing fields of fire. Go, the old man commanded. Get to the vault before they do. Before they destroy the evidence. Nayla looked at Dae-young, saw him processing the same calculation. I'll cover you, he said. But move fast. She moved. Through the chaos of the burning compound, past guards exchanging fire with attackers, through gardens transformed into battlefields. The key burned in her palm like a brand, its weight far heavier than its size suggested. This is it. This is what you came to Seoul for. The answers are in that vault. Everything Mei-sun died protecting. Everything your mother died for. The old man's private office was in a secondary building, untouched by the fire but not by the violence. 2 guards lay dead outside, their weapons still holstered. They'd been killed by someone they trusted, someone who had access, someone inside. Nayla stepped over their bodies, her training screaming warnings but her desperation pushing her forward. The office was traditional, beautiful, filled with artifacts and history. The vault was hidden behind a scroll painting of cranes in flight, symbolic of longevity and loyalty. The key fit perfectly. The vault door swung open, revealing not treasure but something more valuable, truth. Files. Photographs. Shipping manifests. Names. Nayla's hands trembled as she pulled out the first folder. On the cover, written in elegant Korean script, Project Orchid, 1998. She opened it, and the first photograph stopped her heart. A young woman, Korean, beautiful, very pregnant. Holding hands with a man, black, handsome, protective. Her parents. The photograph was dated 2 weeks before they died. But that wasn't what made her blood run cold. It was the person in the background of the photo. Partially obscured, barely visible, but unmistakable. A face she'd seen before. A face she'd seen earlier tonight. Manager Huang. No. Impossible. He's just a restaurant manager, a petty bureaucrat, She flipped through more photographs, more documents, and with each page, the impossible became undeniable. Huang wasn't just a manager. He was an operative. He'd been embedded in the Choi family's sphere for over 20 years, working his way through various businesses, always in service positions, always invisible, always listening. And he'd been there the night her parents died. The sound of footsteps made her spin around. Dae-young stood in the doorway, his face covered in soot, his weapon in hand. We've pushed them back, but they'll regroup. We need to, he saw her expression. What did you find? Nayla held up the photograph. The traitor. The one who's been using your family's operations. The one who killed my mother and hunted Mae-sun and tried to eliminate your grandfather tonight. Dae-young took the photo, his jaw clenching. Huang. That serval piece of, he looked up. He was at the restaurant. He positioned you to serve our table. He knew who I was. He recognized me somehow. The pieces were falling into place, each one more horrifying than the last. He arranged everything. Got me the job, made sure I'd be noticed, made sure I'd speak dialect in front of your grandfather. He wanted this confrontation. He wanted me discovered. Why? Because, Nayla's voice broke. Because when they killed my mother, they didn't find me. Mae-sun got me out. They've been hunting me for 30 years, waiting for me to surface. And I walked right into their trap by coming to Seoul. But why try to kill all of us? Why not just take you? Nayla pulled out another document, this one showing financial records, territory divisions, succession plans. Because I'm not just a loose end. I'm a direct heir to the Choi family. My existence changes the entire power structure. And whoever Huang works for doesn't just want me dead, they want your entire family eliminated so they can take over. Dae-young's phone buzzed. He answered it, listened, his face going pale. The hospital just called. My grandfather is stable, but they found something. A slow-acting poison in his system, something that's been building up for months. The doctors say if the fire hadn't forced them to do a full toxicology screen, he would have been dead within weeks. Their eyes met, understanding crystallizing. Huang, they said simultaneously. He's been slowly killing your grandfather, Nayla said. Positioning himself to be invaluable, to have access, to eventually. To take over when I inherited, Dae-young finished. With my grandfather dead from apparent natural causes, with me dependent on long-term loyal employees, Huang would have been perfectly positioned to manipulate the organization from within. Until I showed up. Until you showed up and became a variable he couldn't control. So he accelerated the timeline. Tried to eliminate all of us in one night. Nayla gathered the files, her movements sharp with purpose. Where is he now? I don't know. In the chaos, with the fire and the attack, Dae-young made a call. This is Choi Dae-young. I need the location of Huang Min-suk, last known position at Sikjin Palace. Find him. Now. He listened, then his expression darkened. He left the restaurant 10 minutes after we did. Security footage shows him getting into a vehicle registered to a shell company. Which shell company? Dae-young checked his phone. One that doesn't exist in our records, but, he pulled up a file. It shares a registered agent with one of our shipping subsidiaries. The same subsidiary that was listed on the manifest Mae-sun was investigating, Nayla finished. The one that carried weapons shipments through Taiwan in 1998. The circle was closing. We need to find him, Nayla said. We need to protect you, Dae-young countered. If he's willing to burn down the compound, he's willing to. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing the office in red. And in that crimson glow, Nayla saw a shadow move in the doorway behind Dae-young. Down, she screamed, tackling him as bullets tore through the space where his head had been. They hit the floor rolling, Dae-young returning fire blind, Nayla scrambling for cover behind the massive desk. The attack was brief, professional, 3 controlled bursts, then silence. Dae-young? Nayla called. Hit. Shoulder. Not serious. But when Nayla looked, she saw the blood spreading too fast, the angle wrong for a simple shoulder wound. You're lying. I'm functional. He tried to stand, stumbled. We need to move. They're coming for the files. No. They're coming for me. The files are just evidence to destroy. Nayla made a decision, the kind of decision Mason had trained her to make. You stay here. Guard the files. I'm going to draw them away. That's suicide. That's strategy. She grabbed his weapon, checked the magazine. Your security team is outside. Fire 3 shots, they'll come running. I'll lead the attackers away from the files, from your grandfather, from everything. When I'm clear, you get these documents to someone you trust absolutely. I don't have anyone I trust absolutely. Huang proved that. Nayla pressed the key back into his hand. Then trust me. I'm family, remember? Their eyes met and something passed between them, recognition, connection, a bond forged in violence and shared survival. Don't die, Dae-young said. Not planning to. Nayla moved to the door, then paused. If I don't make it, tell your grandfather I'm sorry. For all of it. For not being found sooner. For bringing this war to his door. Tell him yourself, Dae-young said. When you come back. Nayla smiled, fierce and determined. When I come back. She ran into the darkness, toward the sounds of gunfire, toward the enemy that had been hunting her for 30 years. And this time, she was hunting back. The compound security systems had been compromised, someone with deep access had systematically disabled cameras, killed comm channels, and isolated sections of the estate. Nayla moved through the darkness like a ghost, using the same skills Mason had drilled into her during countless games of hide and seek that were actually tactical training. Never move in straight lines. Never make predictable choices. Never let them think they know where you'll be. She'd led the attackers away from Dae-young, firing twice to establish her position, then disappearing into the traditional garden that Mason had described in such detail it was like coming home to a place she'd never been. Now she crouched behind a stone lantern, listening to the sounds of pursuit, 3 men, professional, coordinated, but not familiar with the terrain the way she was. The koi pond has 3 depths, Mason's voice echoed in memory. Shallow at the edges, deep in the center, and there's a decorative bridge with hollow supports where a small person could hide. Nayla moved toward the pond, her bare feet silent on the stone paths, her breathing controlled. She could hear them getting closer, spreading out to cut off her escape routes. She's bleeding, one of them said in Korean. There's a trail. Smart. They're tracking the cuts on my feet from the window glass. Nayla pulled off her shirt, tearing it into strips, wrapping her feet quickly. The bleeding stopped, the trail ended. Lost her, another voice said, frustrated. Spread out. She's on foot, injured. Can't have gone far. Nayla waited, perfectly still, as they passed within meters of her position. She could take them, 3 against 1 weren't impossible odds if she had surprise and terrain advantage. But killing them would only confirm her training, her skills, her danger. Would only prove she was more than what she claimed. You're not here to fight. You're here for answers. Find Huang. Find the truth. She let them pass, then doubled back toward the main compound, moving through the servants' quarters where Mason had lived during her years of service. The building was dark, abandoned in the chaos, but Nayla knew exactly where she was going. My room was on the east side, little one. 3rd floor, corner window with the view of the sunrise. I kept a box under the floorboards, emergency supplies, things I might need if we ever had to run fast. The room was exactly where Mason had described, and the loose floorboard was exactly where it should be. Nayla pried it up, finding the box, still there after 30 years, untouched, waiting. Inside, a burner phone, cash, fake IDs, and a small notebook filled with Mei-sun's careful handwriting. Nayla flipped through the notebook, her heart pounding. Dates, names, locations, everything Mei-sun had discovered about the conspiracy that killed Choi Hae-jin. Everything she'd been planning to tell the old man before circumstances forced her to run. And there, on the last page, a name circled multiple times. Hwang Min-suk, Shadow Orchid Operative. Below it, an address in Seoul. Current. Recent. She knew. Mei-sun knew exactly who he was, what he was. And she died before she could expose him. Nayla pocketed the notebook, grabbing the phone and one of the ID cards. She was about to leave when she noticed something else in the box, a small photograph, edges worn from handling. It showed a young woman holding a baby, the same image Dae-young had shown her earlier. But this version was complete, uncut, and on the back, written in Mei-sun's handwriting. Hae-jin and Nayla. 3 months old. Taiwan safe house. 1998, the last photo before everything ended. Nayla stared at the names. Hae-jin and Nayla. Not Hae-jin and her daughter. Hae-jin, and Nayla. Her world tilted. The woman in this photo isn't my mother. She's me. This is my name. My Korean name. Hae-jin gave me her name, like she was passing on her identity, her legacy. The pieces rearranged themselves into a picture she'd been too afraid to see. She wasn't Choi Hae-jin's daughter. She was Choi Hae-jin. The baby's dark skin, the woman's protective stance, Mei-sun's careful wording, it all pointed to a truth she'd never considered. The man in the other photos. The black man Hae-jin loved, the unsuitable smuggler. That wasn't my father. That was, what? A lover? A protector? Someone Hae-jin trusted to help her escape. Nayla's hands shook as she turned the photograph over again, reading the back more carefully. The last photo before the fire. Before I had to give her up. Before I sent her away to survive. Forgive me, Sung-min. I failed your daughter, but I saved your granddaughter. The child is everything. The child is all that matters. The child. Singular. Mei-sun saved one child that night. And that child, was me. Nayla. Hae-jin's daughter. Named after her mother, carrying her mother's heritage, raised in secret by the bodyguard who failed to prevent the assassination. The emotional weight crashed down. She wasn't an orphan from Gunna who'd coincidentally learned Korean culture. She was Choi Sung-min's direct bloodline. She was the heir he'd mourned for 30 years. And she'd spent 8 years preparing to destroy the people who might have been her family. The sound of footsteps on the stairs snapped her back to the present. Nayla pocketed the photograph and the notebook, moving to the window. Below, the garden offered possible escape routes, but also exposure. The door opened. Freeze. The voice was familiar. She turned slowly. Dae-young stood in the doorway, his weapon raised, his shoulder bandaged but his stance steady. Blood had soaked through the dressing, but his eyes were clear, focused. You shouldn't be here, Nayla said. Neither should you. But here we both are. He stepped into the room, keeping his weapon trained on her. I followed you. Wanted to see where you'd run. What you'd do. And you came here. To Mei-sun's old room. Looking for something. His eyes flicked to the open floorboard, the disturbed dust, the evidence of her search. Find what you needed. Maybe. Show me. Nayla pulled out the notebook, tossing it to him. He caught it one-handed, flipped through it without lowering his weapon. His expression shifted as he read, shock, anger, betrayal. Hwang. She knew about Hwang for 30 years. She knew about all of them. The entire Shadow Orchid operation embedded in your family's organization. Then why didn't she? He stopped, understanding. She was going to. She was building evidence, preparing to tell my grandfather. And they killed her first. They killed Hae-jin first, Nayla corrected. Mei-sun was collateral damage when she ran to protect the baby. Dae-young looked up from the notebook. The baby she named Hae-jin. After the mother who died. After the mother who gave birth to her. They stared at each other across the dim room, truth hanging between them like smoke. You know, Dae-young said quietly. You've figured it out. That I'm not some distant connection to your family. That I'm direct bloodline. That your grandfather's DNA test is going to prove I'm exactly what he hoped. Nayla's laugh was bitter. Yes. I know. So what now? Now I finish what Mei-sun started. I find Huang. I find who he works for. I end this. By yourself? I've been by myself for 8 years. Dae-young lowered his weapon. Not anymore. The shift was subtle but profound, from captor to ally, from suspicion to something more complex. Why? Nayla asked. Why help me? I could still be lying. Could still be using all of this. Because you're not. He moved closer, his voice dropping. I watched you in that vault. Saw your face when you found the files. That wasn't calculation, that was grief. That was someone finding answers they'd been searching for their entire life. He stopped directly in front of her, close enough that she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the pain he was suppressing from his wound. And because, he continued, even quieter, I watched you carry my grandfather out of a burning building. Risk your life for a man you could have claimed you didn't know. You didn't do that for infiltration. You did that because it's who you are. You don't know who I am. I'm starting to. His hand came up, fingers gentle as they brushed a streak of soot from her cheek. You're Choi Hae-jin. Granddaughter of Choi Sung-min, daughter of the woman my family mourned for 3 decades. And you're the person who's going to help me burn down everyone who betrayed us. The touch was electric, unexpected, dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with violence. Nayla stepped back, creating space. This isn't, we can't. Can't what? Dae-young challenged. Can't acknowledge that everything has changed. Can't admit that your family, which makes you both my responsibility and my equal in this organization. I don't want to be part of your organization. I came to Seoul for revenge, not. Then take it. He gestured to the notebook. Take your revenge. But you don't have to do it alone anymore. The offer was tempting, terrifying, too good to be real. What about your grandfather? When he finds out the truth about my mother, about the man she loved, about why she ran. He'll rejoice that she survived long enough to give him an heir, Dae-young interrupted. He'll mourn what he lost and celebrate what he's found. And then he'll help us destroy the people who took her from him. You're very certain of his reaction. I'm certain that family means everything to him. More than pride, more than judgment, more than old disappointments. Dae-young's expression softened. You're his second chance. His redemption for driving his daughter away. He's not going to waste it. Nayla wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust that belonging was possible, that family could be more than a word. But 30 years of running, of hiding, of trusting no one had left scars deeper than the ones on her feet. The address in Mei-sun's notebook, she said, deflecting. It's current. Dae-young checked his phone, ran a quick search. Registered to a shell company, but yes. Active. Utilities in use. Then that's where we go. Now. You're injured, exhausted. And Huang knows his cover is blown. Every hour we wait is an hour he has to destroy evidence, to run, to strike at your grandfather in the hospital. Nayla's voice hardened. No. We go now. We end this tonight. Dae-young studied her, calculation warring with concern. Fine. But not alone. I'm calling in my team. The ones I know for certain aren't compromised. How can you be certain? Because they're my father's men. They've been in my family since before Huang was recruited. They're blood loyal. Blood loyalty is what got Hae-jin killed, Nayla pointed out. Then we trust the kind of loyalty that's earned, not inherited. He made a call, speaking in rapid Korean, issuing orders with the authority of someone who'd been trained to command. When he finished, he turned back to Nayla. 20 minutes. They'll meet us at the perimeter. Then we have 20 minutes to prepare. Dae-young opened a wall panel Nayla hadn't noticed, revealing a hidden cache of weapons and equipment. Mei-sun was thorough, he noted. She always kept emergency supplies in every building on the compound. Nayla selected items with practiced efficiency, a combat knife, a smaller weapon she could conceal, tactical clothing in dark colors. She changed quickly, professional, aware of Dae-young's presence but not self-conscious. He's seen me carry his grandfather out of a fire. Modesty seems pointless at this stage. When she turned back, fully equipped, Dae-young was staring at her with an expression that made her breath catch. "What?" she asked. "You look like her," he said softly. "My grandfather has photographs, from before. You have her eyes. Her determination. I wouldn't know. Mei-sun never showed me many pictures. Probably trying to protect you. If you looked too much like the family you were running from," he stopped. "You were running from us. From the people who might have killed your mother." "No. I was running from the people who did kill her. Whether that's your family or someone hiding inside it, I'm going to find out." Dae-young crossed to her, standing close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "And when you do? When you find out who's responsible? What then?" "Then they pay. Even if it's someone my grandfather trusts. Someone I've known my entire life. Especially then. Betrayal from family cuts deepest." He nodded slowly. "Good. Because when we walk into Huang's location, there's a very real possibility we'll find connections that hurt. Names that surprise us. Loyalties that shatter. I've been hurt before. Not like this. Not family hurt." His hand came up again, this time cupping her face fully, his thumb tracing her jawline. "I need to know you're prepared for that. For the possibility that everything you thought you knew is wrong." Nayla held his gaze, refusing to look away. "Are you prepared for it?" "I prepared the moment I watched you speak Jeju dialect. The moment I realized you weren't just some random variable in our lives. You're the catalyst that's going to expose every lie we've been living with." The intensity between them was palpable, charged with something more than shared danger. "We should go," Nayla said, but she didn't move. "We should," Dae-young agreed, but he didn't step back. The moment stretched, both of them aware of crossing lines that couldn't be uncrossed. Then Dae-young's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his expression hardening. "The team is in position. And there's more," the hospital called. "My grandfather is awake. He's demanding to see you." "I can't. Not until this is finished. He said to tell you," Dae-young read from the message. "Tell Hae-jin that Mei-sun kept her promise. Tell her to keep hers. End this." Nayla's throat tightened. "He knows. He already knows who I really am, and he's giving me his blessing to hunt down the truth." "Then let's not disappoint him," she said. They moved through the compound together, shadows among shadows, partners in a war that had been building for 3 decades. At the perimeter, 3 men waited, older, scarred, dangerous. They bowed to Dae-young, then to Nayla, acknowledging her without question. They know too. Word travels fast in organizations like this. "The target location," Dae-young said, showing them the address on his phone. "We go in quiet, we extract Huang alive if possible. Dead if necessary. But the evidence, whatever he's got, that's priority 1. The men nodded, checking their weapons. "One more thing," Dae-young said, his voice carrying command that brooked no argument. "The woman is family. She's under Don Choi's protection. Anyone who disrespects that answers to me personally." Another round of nods, more definitive this time. They moved out in 2 vehicles, professional and coordinated. Nayla rode with Dae-young, the silence between them comfortable now, the earlier tension transformed into something like trust. "When this is over," Dae-young said as Seoul's lights blurred past the windows, "when we've got Huang and the truth and whatever justice is possible, what then?" "I don't know," Nayla admitted. I've spent so long focused on finding answers, I never thought about what comes after. You could stay. Take your place in the family. Learn the business, the traditions, everything your mother never got to teach you. Or I could walk away. Disappear again. Go back to being Naila Osei from Ghana, university student, nobody special. Except you're not nobody. You're the heir to one of Korea's most powerful families. An heir born from a relationship my grandfather rejected. An heir who's spent 30 years as an outsider. An heir who saved his life twice in one night, Dae-young countered. An heir who speaks the old tongue, knows the old ways, carries the family mark on her skin and in her bones. The weight of that legacy pressed down like physical force. I'm scared, Naila admitted quietly. Of belonging. Of what it means to be part of something I don't understand. Good. Fear means you're taking it seriously. Dae-young reached over, taking her hand. But you don't have to figure it all out tonight. Tonight, we just focus on surviving. Their fingers intertwined, a connection that felt both natural and impossible. The vehicle slowed, pulling into an alley 2 blocks from their target. We're here, the driver announced. Naila released Dae-young's hand, checking her weapons one last time. Ready? He asked. No, she answered honestly. But let's do it anyway. They stepped into the Seoul night, moving toward confrontation with the man who'd orchestrated decades of murder and betrayal. And Naila carried Maeson's notebook in her pocket, a talisman of everything she'd lost and everything she was about to reclaim. The building housing Hwang's safe house was unremarkable, a mid-rise apartment complex in a middle-class neighborhood, the kind of place where people minded their business and asked no questions. Perfect for someone who'd spent 30 years being invisible. Dae-young's team positioned themselves at the exits while he and Naila approached the primary entrance. The lobby security was minimal, a sleeping guard, cameras that Dae-young's tech specialist disabled with 3 keystrokes. 4th floor, Dae-young whispered, checking his phone against Maeson's notes. Corner unit with the fire escape access. They climbed the stairs, their footsteps silent, their breathing controlled. At the 4th floor landing, Dae-young raised his fist, signaling a stop. Voices from down the hall. Korean, urgent. Don't care what the cost is. The old man survived. The girl is confirmed family. Everything we've built is at risk. Hwang's voice. Unmistakable even though Naila had only heard him use his serval restaurant manager tone. Then we accelerate the final phase. A second voice, deeper, unfamiliar. Eliminate them both. The grandson too. Clear the entire bloodline. The organization won't accept it. Too many questions, too much chaos. The organization will accept what we tell them to accept. We've been building this for 30 years. We're not stopping now because one ghost child survived. Naila's blood ran cold at the casual dismissal of her existence. Dae-young's hand found hers, squeezing once, solidarity, anger, understanding. He signaled to his team through his earpiece, positioning them for a coordinated entry. Then he looked at Naila, eyebrows raised in question. Are you ready for this? For the truth? For whatever we find inside? Naila nodded. Dae-young kicked the door open. The apartment exploded into motion. Hwang dove for a weapon on the table, but Dae-young was faster, his bullet shattering Hwang's hand before he could reach it. The second man, tall, late 50s, wearing a suit that screamed old money, raised his hands immediately, his expression calculating rather than frightened. Secure them, Dae-young ordered. His team moved in, restraining both men with professional efficiency. Hwang was screaming, cradling his mangled hand, but the older man remained silent, his eyes tracking Naila with unsettling intensity. So, the man said in perfect Seoul Korean, the lost princess returns. Naila stepped closer, studying his face. There was something familiar about his features, something in the shape of his jaw, the set of his eyes. Who are you? She demanded. The man smiled. You really don't know? Mason didn't tell you? Tell me what? My name is Choi Kongdae. I'm your uncle. Your mother's older brother. The room went silent. Dae-young's weapon wavered fractionally. Impossible. Uncle Kang-dae died in a boating accident in 1995. I saw the funeral. You saw a closed casket and a very convincing story, Kang-dae interrupted. Much easier to let everyone think I was dead than explain where I'd really been. What I'd really been building. Nayla's world tilted again. Family. More family. Family she'd been hunting without knowing what they were. The Shadow Orchid operation, she said, pieces clicking together. You're the one Mei-sun was investigating. The one who killed Hei-jin. Killed her. Kang-dae laughed, the sound devoid of humor. I tried to save her. Tried to bring her home after she threw away her heritage for some African smuggler who promised her freedom. He wasn't African, Nayla said quietly. Mei-sun told me the truth. He was Ghanaian, yes. But he was also a UN investigator. He was tracking the human trafficking routes through Korea. Routes you were operating. Kang-dae's expression flickered, surprised that she knew. My mother didn't run away for love, Nayla continued, the story Mei-sun had told her in pieces over the years finally making horrible sense. She ran because she discovered what you were doing. Using the family's legitimate shipping business to move people. Selling them. I was building an empire, Kang-dae said, his voice hardening. Our father was content with his little Korean fiefdom. I saw the potential for something global. Something that would make us not just powerful but untouchable. By trafficking humans. By providing a service. Supply and demand. Economics. He shrugged. But my sister, with her soft heart and her Western education, she couldn't see the vision. She was going to expose me, destroy everything I'd built. So yes, I made a difficult choice. You killed her. The words came out flat, emotionless, but inside Nayla was screaming. I ordered her brought back. Brought home where she belonged. What happened after? He waved his good hand dismissively. The operation got messy. The investigator fought back. The warehouse caught fire. These things happen. Dae-young's weapon was steady now, pointed directly at Kang-dae's head. You murdered your own sister. You've been working against our family for 30 years. You orchestrated tonight's attack on your father. My father disowned me when I suggested expanding our operations, Kang-dae said. He chose sentiment over profit, tradition over innovation. He deserved what was coming to him. And me? Nayla asked. What did I deserve? I was a baby. What was the plan? Kill me too? You were already dead. Should have been dead. The fact that Mei-sun got you out, that she managed to hide you for 3 decades, Kang-dae's eyes narrowed. That was impressive, I'll admit. She was always resourceful. She was loyal, Nayla corrected. To my mother. To me. To the true family, not the cancer growing inside it. Poetic. But ultimately meaningless. Kang-dae looked at Dae-young. You're going to kill me now, I assume. Execute me for crimes against the family. That's the plan. Then you're more stupid than I thought. Kill me, and you'll never know how deep this goes. How many people in your organization answer to me? How much of your empire is already mine? The threat hung in the air. Huang, still clutching his bleeding hand, spoke up. He's right. We're everywhere. The restaurant, the shipping offices, the security detail, even the hospital, Kang-dae finished. Did you really think your grandfather was safe just because he's in a hospital bed? I have people in every shift, every department. One word from me, and he doesn't survive the night. Dae-young's jaw clenched. You're bluffing. Am I? Call the hospital. Ask them about the nurse who was just reassigned to your grandfather's room. Young woman, excellent credentials, very helpful. Kang-dae smiled. Her real name is Park Ji-won. She's been on my payroll for 5 years. Dae-young made a call, spoke urgently in Korean, listened. His face went pale. The nurse is real, he confirmed. She's in position now. So you see, Kangdae said, killing me would be satisfying but ultimately counterproductive. You need me alive. Need me to call off my people. Need me to give you the names, the locations, the full scope of the operation. In exchange for what? Nayla asked. Safe passage. Clean exit. Switzerland has very friendly banking laws and no extradition treaty with Korea. Give me 24 hours head start, and I'll give you everything. It was Dae-young's worst nightmare, the man who'd orchestrated decades of betrayal, offering information in exchange for freedom. No, Nayla said. Both men looked at her. No. Kangdae repeated. You don't have a choice. Your grandfather's life is important, Nayla interrupted. But not more important than justice. Not more important than ensuring you can never hurt anyone again. Then he dies. And it's on you. No. He lives. And you don't walk away. Nayla pulled out Maeson's notebook, flipping to a page near the back. You're not as irreplaceable as you think. Mason spent years documenting your operation. Names, bank accounts, communication channels, operational procedures. She knew if she could expose you, if she could give this information to someone who'd act on it, the whole network would collapse. Kangdae's confidence cracked. That's impossible. I would have known. You didn't know because she was better at being invisible than you ever were. Because she learned from you, learned how to hide in plain sight, how to build networks without leaving traces. Nayla handed the notebook to Dae-young. Everything you need is in here. Including the dead man's switch Mason set up. If anything happens to the family, if your grandfather dies, if I die, if anyone connected to this bloodline is killed, the information goes to law enforcement, to international authorities, to the media. Automatically. Irreversibly. It was a bluff. Mason had documented everything, but Nayla had no idea if she'd actually set up a dead man's switch. But the flicker of fear in Kangdae's eyes suggested he believed it. You're lying, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Test it, Nayla challenged. Give the order to kill the old man. See what happens. The silence stretched, taut as a wire about to snap. Finally, Kangdae laughed, bitter and defeated. She really did teach you everything, didn't she? Mason's last gift, a protector who learned to think like the enemy. She taught me to think like family, Nayla corrected. To protect what matters, to fight for justice, to never let evil hide behind good names. She turned to Dae-young. Call the hospital. Have your people remove the nurse. Lock down your grandfather's room. Then call your most trusted tech specialist and have them start cross-referencing every name in Mason's notebook against your organization's personnel. Dae-young made the calls, issuing orders with military precision. While he worked, Nayla crouched in front of Kangdae, meeting his eyes at the same level. You killed my mother, she said softly. You spent 30 years trying to kill me. You betrayed your family, your country, every principle of honor or loyalty. And for what? Money? Power? The chance to feel important? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I understand that you're a coward who hid behind family while destroying it from within. I understand that you're a murderer who convinced himself that profit justified atrocity. I understand that you're nothing. She stood, looking down at him with all the contempt he deserved. And now, she continued, you're going to spend the rest of your life in a Korean prison, knowing that everything you built is being dismantled. Every person you corrupted is being exposed. Every dollar you stole is being returned. You're going to watch your empire collapse, and you're going to do it from a cell. The family won't allow it, Kangdae said desperately. My father, he'll. Your father disowned you once. He'll do it again. Especially when he learns you killed his daughter. Tried to kill his granddaughter. Attempted to murder him. Nayla smiled, cold and final. You're not family anymore. You're a criminal. And you'll be treated accordingly. Dae-young finished his calls, turned back to them. The hospital is secure. My tech team is starting the cross-reference. And I've called my grandfather, he wants to speak to you. He held out his phone. Naila took it, walking to the window for privacy. Hey Jin-ah, Choi Sung-min's voice came through, rough with emotion and medication but unmistakably strong. You found him. Yes. Your uncle. My son. A long pause. I failed to see what he was. Failed to protect your mother from him. Failed you. You didn't know. I should have known. Should have seen the signs. Should have, his voice broke. I'm sorry, child. For everything you lost because I was blind. Tears spilled down Naila's cheeks, hot and unexpected. It's not your fault. Isn't it? I drove your mother away with my stubbornness. I refused to see past my expectations to who she really was. And it cost her everything. It cost us both everything, Naila admitted. But we survived. We're still here. And we can make it right. Can we? The old man's question was genuine, vulnerable. Can we build a family from these ruins? Naila looked across the room at Dae-young, who was coordinating with his team while keeping one eye on their prisoners. She looked at the notebook in his hands, Mae-sun's legacy of truth and protection. She looked at her own reflection in the window, a black woman in Seoul, carrying Korean heritage in her blood and Ghanaian survival in her bones. I don't know, she said honestly. But I'd like to try. The old man's laugh was wet with tears. Then come home, granddaughter. Come home, and we'll figure it out together. I will. Soon. But first, I have to finish this. Have to see it through to the end. I understand. You're like her, you know. Like Hye-jin. Stubborn, righteous, unwilling to leave things half done. Pride filled his voice. She would be proud of you. Of who you've become. Of how you've honored her memory. The words broke something inside Naila, a wall she'd built around the grief of never knowing her mother, of being raised by a woman who loved her but could never fully replace what was lost. I miss her, Naila whispered. I never knew her, but I miss her every day. So do I, child. So do I. A pause. But I have you now. A piece of her. A new beginning. And I won't waste it. Neither will I. She ended the call, wiping her eyes, composing herself. When she turned back, Dae-young was watching her with an expression that was part professional assessment, part something softer. Your grandfather, he asked. Wants me to come home. And will you? After we finish here. After we see this through. She gestured to Kangdae and Hwang. What's the plan? Law enforcement. Formal charges. We'll use Mae-sun's evidence to ensure they never see freedom again. Dae-young hesitated. My grandfather gave me discretion on how to handle it. I could make them disappear. Permanently. No trials, no risk of legal complications. The offer hung in the air, justice versus vengeance, legal proceedings versus street resolution. What would your grandfather want? Naila asked. The old him. The one who built his empire on fear and blood. He'd want them dead. And the new him? The one who just found his granddaughter. Dae-young smiled faintly. He'd want you to decide. To choose what kind of family you want us to be. The weight of that choice settled over Naila like a mantle. I could order their deaths. Could watch them die for what they did to my mother, to Mae-sun, to me. Could have the vengeance I've been dreaming of for 8 years. Or I could choose something else. Could choose to be better than the violence that created me. Legal system, she said finally. Public trial. Full exposure of their crimes. Let the world see what they did, who they really were. Let justice be public, documented, undeniable. Kangdae's face went pale. You're making a mistake. The things that will come out in a trial, the family secrets, the operations. Will be exposed, Naila finished. All of it. The good, the bad, the ugly truth. And we'll survive it. Because we're not hiding anymore. She looked at Dae-young. No more secrets. No more operating in shadows while people like him use those shadows to build empires of suffering. We expose everything, we clean house, we start fresh. Dae-young nodded slowly. My grandfather won't like it. It'll damage the family's reputation, our operations. Then we rebuild. Legitimately. Honorably. The way it should have been from the beginning. And if the organization falls apart in the process? Then we build something better from the pieces. The idealism of it should have sounded naive, but Dae-young saw truth in her eyes, the truth of someone who'd spent 8 years watching from the outside, who understood that real power came from legitimacy, not from hiding crimes behind traditional loyalty. All right, he said. We do it your way. Full exposure. Legal prosecution. Clean slate. He made another call, speaking to what sounded like law enforcement, arranging transfer of prisoners and evidence. While he worked, Naila approached Kangdae one final time. You asked what I deserved, she said quietly. I deserved a mother. A family. A childhood that wasn't spent running and hiding. I deserved to know my heritage without having it weaponized. I deserved peace. She crouched down, meeting his hateful gaze. But what I got instead was strength. Survival skills. The ability to adapt, to endure, to overcome. Mae-san gave me that. My mother's sacrifice gave me that. And your betrayal, your crimes, your attempts to kill me, they gave me purpose. She stood. So thank you, uncle. Thank you for making me strong enough to destroy everything you built. Thank you for teaching me exactly what not to become. Kangdae spat at her feet. You're not worthy of the Choi name. You're right, Naila agreed. I'm not. I'm something better. I'm my mother's daughter, Mae-san's student, and a survivor who refused to let your hate define her. The Choi name is just a name. Who I am, that's what matters. Police sirens wailed in the distance, approaching. Dae-young's team began preparing the prisoners for transfer. Naila walked to the window, looking out at Seoul's lights, a city she'd lived in for 8 years without really seeing, without allowing herself to belong. You can stay here, Dae-young said, joining her. At the window. If you don't want to watch them be taken away. No. I need to see it. Need to know it's really over. It's never really over. There will be trials, testimony, appeals. Years of legal proceedings. But the hunting is over. The running is over. The wondering if I'll survive to see tomorrow, that's over. Dae-young's hand found hers again, fingers interweaving naturally. And the belonging? The family? That's just beginning. Naila looked at their joined hands, her dark skin against his lighter tone, a visual representation of everything she was, Korean and Ghanaian, traditional and modern, Choi and Osei, Haejin and Naila. I'm terrified, she admitted. Of what? Of being seen. Of being known. Of taking up space instead of hiding in it. That's the hardest part of coming home, Dae-young said. Letting people see all of you. But you don't have to do it alone. You have family now. Real family. The kind that protects you instead of hunting you. The police arrived, flooding into the building, taking custody of Kangdae and Hwang with professional efficiency. As they led the prisoners away, Kangdae looked back one last time. This isn't finished, he called out. The organization I built, it's bigger than you know. Deeper than you can imagine. You've cut off one head, but hydras grow back, Naila finished. I know. Mae-san taught me Greek mythology too. She also taught me how to cauterize wounds so they don't regenerate. We'll be thorough. The police took him away, his threats fading into the distance. Silence settled over the apartment. Dae-young's team was methodical, photographing evidence, securing files, preparing everything for legal processing. We should go, Dae-young said. My grandfather is awake, stable, demanding to see you in person. And he hesitated. There's a family ceremony. When a lost member returns. Traditional. If you want to. Yes, Nayla said without hesitation. Whatever needs to happen to make this official, to make me really part of the family, I want to do it. It's binding. Once you're formally acknowledged, you can't go back to being invisible. You'll be Choi Hae-jin for the rest of your life, with all the responsibilities and dangers that entails. Good. I'm tired of hiding who I am. They walked out of the apartment together, leaving the evidence of 30 years of betrayal behind them, stepping towards something new. In the car, Dae-young made one more call. When he finished, he turned to Nayla with an expression she couldn't quite read. What? She asked. The DNA results came back. Emergency processing. My grandfather insisted. Nayla's heart stuttered. And 99.9% match. You're definitely Choi Sung-min's granddaughter. Direct patrilineal descent from his daughter, Choi Hae-jin. The scientific confirmation of what they'd all known felt both anticlimactic and profound. So it's official, Nayla said. It's official. You're an heir. A direct heir. Which means, Dae-young paused, choosing words carefully. Which means legally, you have equal claim to the family's assets, operations, territories. Equal to me. I don't want. It doesn't matter what you want. It's blood right. It's tradition. It's law, both legal and organizational. He looked at her seriously. We're cousins. But in the hierarchy of succession, we're equals. That's going to create complications. What kind of complications? The kind where people have to choose sides. Where loyalties get tested. Where what should be simple family reunion becomes a power struggle. Nayla felt the weight of it settling. I just wanted answers. I just wanted justice for my mother and Mae-sun. I never wanted power. Responsibility. A seat at the table of one of Korea's most dangerous families. Dae-young's smile was wry. Welcome to the Choi legacy. We don't choose our inheritances. We just decide what to do with them. The car pulled up to the hospital, security already in place, a perimeter established that would make any assassination attempt suicidal. Ready? Dae-young asked. No, Nayla admitted. But I'm going anyway. They walked into the hospital together, two heirs carrying the weight of their family's past and the uncertainty of its future. And somewhere in that modern Seoul hospital, an old man waited to welcome home the granddaughter he'd mourned for 30 years, unaware that her return would change everything they thought they knew about family, loyalty, and the price of survival. The private hospital suite occupied the entire top floor, transformed into a fortress by Dae-young's security team. Guards at every entrance, cameras monitoring every corridor, doctors and nurses vetted so thoroughly their childhoods had been investigated. Choi Sung-min sat propped against white pillows, looking smaller than Nayla remembered from the restaurant. The oxygen tube in his nose, the 4 in his arm, the monitors tracking his vital signs, they all emphasized his mortality in ways his presence usually concealed. But his eyes were sharp when they landed on her, bright with medication and emotion. Come closer, child, he said in Jeju dialect. Let me look at you properly. Nayla approached the bed, aware of Dae-young hanging back, giving them space, but maintaining protective proximity. The old man reached out with a trembling hand, touching her face with the careful wonder of someone confirming a miracle. You look like her, he whispered. Your mother. The same stubbornness in your jaw, the same fire in your eyes. But you have my wife's nose. My mother's forehead. His fingers traced her features. You're all the women of this family, reborn. I'm sorry, Nayla said, not sure what she was apologizing for. For not being found sooner. For causing trouble by showing up now. For. Stop. The command was gentle but absolute. You have nothing to apologize for. You survived. That's all that matters. Everything else is my failure, my guilt, my burden to carry. He pulled her down, wrapping thin arms around her in an embrace that shook with suppressed sobs. My daughter's child, he murmured against her hair. My Hae-jin's daughter. Home at last. Nayla let herself be held, let herself accept comfort from this man who was blood, family, hers in ways she'd spent 8 years denying. When they finally separated, the old man's face was wet with tears he made no effort to hide. "The DNA results," he said, switching to standard Korean. "Dae-young showed me. But I didn't need science to tell me what my heart already knew. You're mine. My family. My redemption. I'm not here to redeem anyone," Nayla said carefully. "I'm not a symbol or a second chance. I'm just a woman who saved my life. Who brought me truth about my son's betrayal. Who honored her mother's memory and her protector's sacrifice." He smiled. "You're not just anything, child. You're extraordinary." The praise felt uncomfortable, unearned. "Mason was extraordinary. My mother was extraordinary. I'm just someone who survived. Survival is its own form of extraordinary." The old man gestured to a folder on his bedside table. "Dae-young brought me Mason's notebook. I've read it. All of it. What she documented, what she discovered, what she protected you from." His voice hardened. "Kangdae will pay for what he did. In this life and the next. He's in custody. There will be a trial. There will be justice," the old man corrected. "Legal or otherwise. I won't have my daughter's murderer living comfortably in prison while she rests in an unmarked grave." The violence in his tone reminded Nayla that this frail man in a hospital bed was still the capo dei capi, still the iron hand that controlled an empire. "Your grandfather wants vengeance," Dae-young said from his position by the door. "But Nayla has chosen the legal route. Public trial, full exposure." The old man looked between them, assessing. "You disagree with her choice." "I support her choice," Dae-young corrected. "Even though it will damage the family, expose our operations, create chaos in the organization." "And you, granddaughter?" The old man turned back to Nayla. "You understand what this decision will cost. The enemies it will create, the targets it will paint on all our backs." "I understand that hiding crimes doesn't make them disappear," Nayla replied. "It just lets them fester." Mason spent 30 years documenting truth because she believed it mattered. Because she believed exposure was the only way to real healing. "Mason was always idealistic," the old man murmured. "It made her an excellent bodyguard but a terrible pragmatist." "It made her moral," Nayla countered. "It made her someone worth remembering, worth honoring." The silence that followed was charged with unspoken implications. Finally, the old man laughed, the sound rough but genuine. "You argue with me. No one argues with me. Not even Dae-young has the audacity to directly contradict my judgment." "I don't work for you," Nayla pointed out. "I'm not part of your organization, not bound by your rules." "Not yet," the old man said. "But you will be. Your family. That comes with obligations." "I didn't agree to any obligations." "You don't have to agree. Blood doesn't require consent." He shifted in the bed, wincing with pain but waving off Dae-young's concerned movement. "But I'm not going to force you into a life you don't want. I made that mistake with your mother. I won't repeat it." "Then what are you offering?" "A choice. Come home, join the family, take your place in the organization. Learn our ways, our business, your heritage. Or don't. Walk away. Live as Nayla Osei, university student, free of family complications." It was the offer Nayla had theoretically wanted, freedom without conditions. So why did it feel like a trap? "And if I choose to walk away?" she asked. "Then you walk away with my blessing, my financial support, and a security detail to ensure Kangdae's remaining associates don't find you." The old man's expression was carefully neutral. "You'll be family in blood but not in practice. Protected but not participating. That's very generous." "It's guilt," he corrected bluntly. "Trying to give you the choice I never gave your mother. Trying to prove I've learned something in 30 years of regret." Nayla looked at Dae-young, saw something flicker in his expression, hope, fear, desperate desire for her to choose the option that kept her close. "And if I choose to stay?" she asked. "What then?" Then we formalize your position. Traditional ceremony, formal recognition, public acknowledgement. You become Choi Hae-jin officially, legally, irrevocably. You take on the family name, the family business, the family dangers. The old man's eyes gleamed. And you become my heir. Equal to Dae-young. Co-leaders of the next generation. Dae-young shifted uncomfortably. Grandfather, we haven't discussed. I'm discussing it now. Nayla has proven herself more times in one night than most people do in a lifetime. She saved my life twice, exposed a 30-year betrayal, and chose justice over expedient vengeance. Those are the qualities of a leader. But she has no experience with the organization, no knowledge of our operations, no understanding of the politics. She has 8 years of surviving on her own, investigative skills that uncovered what our entire security apparatus missed, and the moral courage to make hard choices. That's more valuable than any training I could provide. The two men stared at each other, a silent battle of wills playing out in expressions and body language. You're creating a succession crisis, Dae-young said finally. Dividing loyalties, forcing people to choose between heirs, destabilizing everything I've been building. I'm creating balance, the old man countered. You're brilliant, loyal, disciplined, everything I could want in a successor. But you're also ruthless, pragmatic to a fault, willing to make compromises for efficiency. Nayla balances that with idealism, with moral conviction, with the perspective of someone who's seen our world from the outside. Or she'll get us all killed with her naive faith in legal systems and public opinion. Or she'll transform us into something sustainable. Something that doesn't require we sacrifice our humanity to maintain power. Nayla listened to them arguing over her future, over her role, over what she represented to the family's evolution. And she realized with crystalline clarity what was really happening. They're not fighting over me. They're fighting over what kind of family they want to be. Traditional or reformed. Hidden or transparent. Feared or respected. And I'm the catalyst forcing them to choose. Stop, she said quietly. Both men turned to look at her. I appreciate the offer, Nayla continued. Both of you, in your different ways, trying to make space for me in your lives. But I don't need you to fight over who I am or what I represent. She addressed the old man directly. You asked me to choose. Stay or go. Join the family or walk away. But that's a false choice. Because I can't walk away from blood, from heritage, from the truth of who I am. And I can't fully join a family I don't yet understand, an organization whose values I'm still questioning. Then what do you want? The old man asked. Time. Space to learn, to understand, to figure out how to be Choi Hae-jin without losing Nayla Osei. You gave my mother an ultimatum, accept her arranged marriage or be disowned. I'm asking for something different. A middle path. Which is? I stay. I participate. I learn the family business, the traditions, the connections. But I don't take a formal position yet. I'm family but not leadership. Present but not committed. She looked at Dae-young. No succession crisis. No divided loyalties. Just a granddaughter getting to know her family. Dae-young's relief was palpable. That's reasonable. For now, the old man said. But eventually, you'll have to choose. Eventually, half measures won't be enough. Eventually isn't today. The old man smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to genuinely warm. Smart. Careful. Just like your mother. He reached for her hand again. Very well. You stay as family, you learn our ways, and when you're ready, if you're ever ready, we'll discuss your formal role. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Family comes with complications you can't imagine. As if summoning them by mention, the hospital suite door opened, and a woman entered, mid-50s, elegant, with the kind of presence that commanded attention without demanding it. Aunt Ji-won, Dae-young said, bowing respectfully. The woman's eyes locked onto Nayla with laser focus. So it's true. The lost daughter's child. Back from the dead to complicate everything. Ji-won, the old man warned. Oh, don't G1 me, Appa. You expect me to just accept this? Some woman appears out of nowhere, claims family connection, and suddenly she's equal heir to my nephew? The woman's voice was steel wrapped in silk. I don't care what DNA says. I care about what's best for this family. And you think I'm not? Nayla asked. I think you're a variable we can't control. I think you're a security risk wrapped in a convenient story. I think you're going to get people killed. Ji-won stepped closer. I loved Hye-jin. She was my sister-in-law, my friend. And when she died, I mourned. But bringing back a ghost doesn't honor her memory. It just resurrects old pain. I'm not a ghost. I'm her daughter. Are you? Or are you someone who was trained to play this role? Someone who learned the dialect, memorized the stories, positioned herself perfectly to infiltrate our family? It was Kang Dae's argument, refined and delivered by someone who had no reason to be his ally. The DNA, the old man started. DNA can be faked, samples can be contaminated, results can be manipulated, G1 interrupted. I want independent testing. I want verification from multiple sources. And I want a full background investigation before we hand over any family authority. She saved my life, the old man said. Or she saved you from an attack she helped orchestrate. How convenient that assassin struck minutes after her identity was revealed. How convenient that she had exactly the right training to protect you. How convenient that she's pushing for legal proceedings that will expose our operations to public scrutiny. The logic was sound, the suspicion warranted, and Nayla couldn't entirely refute it. You're right, she said quietly. Ji-won blinked, surprised. What? You're right to be suspicious. Right to demand verification. Right to protect your family from potential infiltration. Nayla met her gaze steadily. I would do the same in your position. The admission seemed to deflate some of Ji-won's hostility. So let's do it, Nayla continued. Independent testing. Full background investigation. Whatever verification you need to satisfy your concerns. I have nothing to hide. Except 8 years of your life living under a false identity while investigating our family, Ji-won pointed out. I was investigating the people who killed my mother and hunted me across 3 continents. If that investigation led to your family, it's because someone in your family was involved. Kang Dae, Dae-young said. We have evidence. Evidence provided by her, Ji-won interrupted. Evidence that conveniently eliminates a family rival and positions her as a hero. You don't see how perfectly this all plays out. The room was silent, everyone processing the implications. Finally, the old man spoke. What would satisfy you, Ji-won? What proof would you need to accept that this is my granddaughter? Ji-won considered. Time. Let her live as family for 6 months. No formal position, no inheritance discussions, no power sharing. Just family. If after 6 months she's still here, still committed, still proving herself, then we discuss formal recognition. That's reasonable, Nayla said. It's insulting, the old man countered. Making her prove herself like a servant. It's pragmatic, Nayla interrupted. And honestly, I need the time too. To learn, to adjust, to figure out if this is really where I belong. She looked at Ji-won. 6 months. I'll submit to whatever testing, investigation, or verification you require. And at the end of that time, we'll revisit the question of my formal role. Ji-won studied her, assessing. You're either very confident or very good at playing the long game. I'm tired, Nayla admitted. I'm tired of running, of hiding, of looking over my shoulder. If taking 6 months to prove myself means I finally get to stop, then it's worth it. Something shifted in Ji-won's expression, not trust, exactly, but a willingness to consider the possibility. Fine. 6 months. But you live here, in Seoul, in family housing. No independent apartment where we can't monitor you. No secret meetings, no unauthorized investigations. You want to be family? Then be family. Fully, completely, transparently. Agreed. Dae-young looked like he wanted to object, to argue that these terms were too restrictive, but he remained silent, reading the room, understanding that this compromise was the best available outcome. The old man, however, had no such restraint. "You're treating my granddaughter like a prisoner." "I'm treating her like someone who needs to earn trust," Ji-won corrected. "Just like everyone else in this family had to. She's not special just because she shares your blood. She's special because she saved my life. Then give her a reward. A bonus. A medal. But don't hand her power without proving she can handle it." Ji-won turned to leave, then paused. "And Hae-jin? If that's really who you are. Welcome home. I hope you survive it." She left, the door closing with a soft click that somehow sounded like a threat. "I'm sorry," the old man said to Nayla. Ji-won is protective. Suspicious. She's seen too many people try to manipulate this family to trust easily. "She's smart," Nayla said. Everything she said was valid. "I would be exactly as suspicious if I were her. Still. You shouldn't have to prove yourself." "Yes, I should. That's how trust works. It's earned, not inherited." Dae-young's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. The legal team is ready to file charges against Kangdae and Hwang. They need final authorization. The old man looked at Nayla. "Your choice. Legal proceedings or alternative resolution." The offer hung in the air, one last chance to choose vengeance over justice. "Legal proceedings," Nayla said without hesitation. "Full prosecution. Public trial. Everything exposed." The old man nodded slowly. "Then it's done. Dae-young, authorize the filings." While Dae-young made the call, the old man pulled Nayla close again. 6 months, he whispered. "That's all the time they've given us to be family. To make up for 30 lost years. It's not enough." "Then we make it count," Nayla whispered back. "I have something for you." He reached to his nightstand, pulling out a small wooden box. "This belonged to your mother. Her grandmother gave it to her, and her grandmother before that. It's yours now." Nayla opened the box with trembling hands. Inside was a jade pendant, carved in the shape of a crane, suspended on a silver chain. It was beautiful, ancient, priceless. "The family heirloom," the old man explained. "Given to the eldest daughter of each generation. Your mother wore it every day until," his voice caught. "Until the night she died. Mei-sun brought it back to me after. Said Hae-jin wanted you to have it if anything happened to her." Nayla lifted the pendant, the jade warm against her fingers. On the back, engraved in elegant Korean script, was a name. Choi Hae-jin. Her name. Her mother's name. The name that connected her to 30 generations of women who'd worn this pendant, who'd carried this legacy. "I can't accept this," she whispered. "You must. It's yours by right, by blood, by inheritance. Your mother wanted you to have it." Nayla fastened the chain around her neck, the jade settling against her collarbone with a weight that felt like both burden and blessing. "Thank you," she said, the words inadequate for the enormity of the gift. "Welcome home, granddaughter," the old man replied. "Welcome home." Dae-young finished his call, turning back to them. "The charges are filed. Kangdae and Hwang will be arraigned tomorrow. The media is already picking up the story, scandal in one of Korea's oldest families, betrayal and murder spanning decades. Let them," the old man said. "Let the whole world know what my son did. Let them know my granddaughter exposed it. Let them know the Choi family chooses truth over reputation. The organization won't like it," Dae-young warned. "We'll lose allies, partners, people who can't afford association with scandal. Then we'll find better allies. People who value integrity over convenience." Nayla watched this exchange, seeing the future they were building, a future where she was both catalyst and participant, disruptor and heir. "There's one more thing," Dae-young said, his tone shifting to something more formal. "The traditional ceremony. For formally recognizing a returned family member. If we're going to do this, if we're going to introduce you to the organization, it needs to be done properly. When? Nayla asked. 3 days. When my grandfather is released from the hospital. It's a family gathering, very traditional, very formal. You'll be presented to the extended clan, acknowledged as Choi Sung-min's granddaughter, given your place in the family registry. What do I need to do? Show up. Be yourself. Let them see who you are. Dae-young paused. And be prepared for resistance. Not everyone will be as accepting as my grandfather. Some will see you as Ji-won does, a threat, a variable, a problem to be solved. I can handle resistance. Can you handle being claimed? Because that's what this ceremony is. A public statement that you belong to us now. That you're ours to protect, ours to guide, ours to control. The possessiveness in his tone sent a shiver down her spine, not entirely fear, not entirely discomfort, something more complicated. I'm not property, she said carefully. No. But your family. And in our world, that's more binding than any contract, more absolute than any law. Once you're formally recognized, you can't unrecognize yourself. You can't go back to being Nayla Osei from Ghana who happened to speak Korean. I know. Do you? Because I don't think you understand what you're agreeing to. The surveillance, the restrictions, the expectations. The way every choice you make will be filtered through family interest. The way your freedom becomes negotiable in service of family protection. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I'm trying to warn you. While you still have a choice. While you can still walk away. Why? Nayla challenged. If it's so terrible, why are you part of it? Because I was born to it. I never had a choice. But you do. You could leave right now, take the security detail and the financial support, and build a life somewhere else. Somewhere safe. There is no somewhere safe. Kangdae proved that. His network is global. His associates are everywhere. The only safety is here, inside the family, where your resources can protect me. Or trap you. They stared at each other, the truth hanging between them like a blade. 3 days, Nayla said finally. I'll be ready. Will you? Guess we'll find out. The old man had fallen asleep during their exchange, his breathing deep and even, the stress of the day finally overwhelming his reserves. Dae-young gestured toward the door. Let him rest. We should go. They left the hospital together, stepping into Seoul's night. A car waited, security team ready, Nayla's future mapped out in 3-day increments. Where do I go? She asked. If I'm living in family housing, where is that? The compound. The guest house has been prepared for you. Full security, full amenities, full surveillance. Prison, you mean? Protection. There's a difference. Is there? Dae-young didn't answer, just opened the car door for her. As they drove through Seoul's streets, Nayla touched the jade pendant at her throat, feeling its weight, its history, its claim on her identity. 3 days until the ceremony. 6 months until formal recognition. A lifetime of being Choi Hae-jin ahead of me. May-sun, I hope you knew what you were doing. I hope this family you protected me from is worth becoming part of. I hope I'm strong enough to survive belonging. The compound gates opened, swallowing them into the heart of the Choi family's power. And Nayla realized with absolute certainty that her hunting days were over. Now she was the one being hunted, by expectations, by tradition, by a family that would never let her go. The cage was golden, beautiful, wrapped in love and protection. But it was still a cage. And in 3 days, she would walk into it willingly, claiming a heritage that would define the rest of her life. To be continued. What happens when Nayla faces the extended family at the recognition ceremony? Will Ji-won's suspicions prove warranted? Can Dae-young and Nayla navigate their growing connection while being positioned as rival heirs? And what secrets about her mother's death still remain buried in the Choi family's past? The lost daughter has come home. But home is about to become a battleground.